Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back once again to the Crew First Culture Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. This is Jeremy, and today I want to start something a little new. It's going to kind of bounce off the underground leadership movement stuff that I did a while back, but I created a document just out of the desire to pass on what I have, for upcoming leaders, officers. Just really, it was a list of things lessons that I learned the hard way, actually. And so I I think there's a lot of value in this, not solely from my hands, but from all of us, being able to just write down the things that you've learned and some experiences that, it they were hard. And if I share this with somebody else, maybe they don't have to go through it as deeply or as much as I did. And so I just think there's a lot to be said about the sharing of experience and lessons learned, and hopefully a byproduct of this series will be that you kind of start documenting some of that yourself and sharing that some with the people around you. And so that kind of the thing is going to be called leadership lessons learned. L3 is just the easiest way I can sum it up, so it's not taking up two paragraphs on the title screen. But the first lesson that I'm going to talk about is you aren't going to be prepared. And so what I'm mainly referring to here is just the fact that as a fire service, and I can't speak for any other profession or career. Maybe it's the same all around, but we don't prepare our new leaders to lead and challenge adults, grown men and women. We just don't. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's the things like, I'll just list off a few of the things that stand out the most to me: handling personnel conflicts, how to handle and help hurting personnel. Man, what the heck do you do? How to create positive cultural changes. I've never heard of any department, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that because I haven't spoke to everybody at every department, but I've never heard of a department that actually taught young and upcoming officers about culture, about how to fix it, how to work it in a way that is on purpose, how to maintain it, how to keep it positive, how to make it like you feel like it should be. Nothing. Another one is how to earn buy-in and to create a safe place for growth for your people. Another big one. And last one, just as examples I have, is the importance of creating community within your crew. And that's not everything, but it's very easy to sit down and just write out a list of things that, man, I wish I was more prepared in this area. I wish I had some ideas of how to handle this and that. And there's just so much that it seems like overall we're not impressing upon our young officers and young leaders on how to handle real world stuff. I mean, yeah, we do a lot of stuff as far as incidents go and policies go and things like that, and that's great. And I'm not saying that's not important, but where do we spend most of our time? Or at least where is the most interaction and the most time together as a crew? It's at the station. It's those moments at the station that conflict can arise. The issues of each other's personal lives kind of start coming out. It's the times that we can just watch individuals and see, man, it seems like something's not right today. It's those moments that we just aren't ready to be the head of the crew and be fully responsible for that. And I will say, just speaking from experience, but I can't imagine that it's much different for anybody else. This is the area that we're going to mess up the most. This is the area that I messed up the most, and that wasn't something that ever stopped. It's not like, okay, I now know all of these answers. No, it's constant. You're constantly having to learn. You're constantly having to be flexible. If it all depends on how many people you have under you. If you've got a crew of five, including yourself, well, then you've got probably four different personalities, four different ways that speak to them the most as far as learning or just reaching them on a inspirational level. Everybody's different, and that just means that as leaders we have to handle each person differently, and that is complicated. And I just don't feel like you don't hear much about spreading that, as far as once you come into the spot. You're just, here's your badge, and congratulations, and you'll be going to so and so crew and station, and good luck. I know you'll do good, blah blah blah. For me, I think the most important, and I'm not going to have all the answers here. Obviously, I've said that so many times on pretty much everything I talk about, but I will share the ones that I do learn and do know. And as far as that, that what I just said about this is the area that we will mess up the most. I think the most important part of this is, okay, for one, understanding that, and that's just part of it. You are going to make mistakes when it has to deal with leading your personnel, leading your crew. It's going to happen. I don't know of anybody, even the officers that I've worked for in my time, that I would say were just near flawless. They made mistakes. And so the most important part of that is taking responsibility for those mistakes, and apologizing for those mistakes and making those mistakes right. Being that example to your crew, and to everybody around that sees it. That's a powerful, powerful example. And I will tell you right now, there's a lot of leaders that can't get to that. Yeah, they can't get there. They can't, whether it's lower their pride, lower their whatever, their fake self, the walls they've put up, whether it's just being humble enough to take responsibility. I don't know. I mean, it's different for everybody, but there are a lot of leaders that cannot do that. And for those leaders, that is something that is going to hold them back, as far as the respect and the trust that others build in them. Because to me, I think that that's one of the biggest things that you get out of that, is the trust that it builds within the people around you, the respect they gain, the courage they have. And this is the most important part, I think. And I'll stop myself and really make sure that I make this point clear. The trust and respect that they build in you as a leader, that's awesome. It's great. It's very important. But this is huge. By taking responsibility, by owning your mistakes and being honest about your mistakes and sharing those with the people of your crew, what you're doing is you are giving them the courage to do the same in the future. Just think about that for a second. those are the things that truly define good leadership for me. It's great to have a reputation as a great leader and to be respected and trusted, but the people that I would say are great leaders are those that use their actions in a way that is going to bring out the best in those around them, that's going to bring out even more than those people knew that they had. That's the kind of leader that I hope to strive to be. And that's what we can do by using these things. The next kind of the point on the list I have here is be humble and open-minded enough to, and these are two big ones right here, to understand, number one, your way isn't always the right way. We've all had the officers, we've all had the family members and the, whatever, the people that we know, the acquaintances that will tell you, well, it's either my way or the highway. And I think that for those that have been on for 15, 20 years plus, you have definitely seen that. I think that a lot of that mentality is probably retired out now, but I know there's still some left. And I'll say this: there's not much that's going to run off the younger generations quicker than somebody that tells people that. And I get it. I'm not in those younger generations, but if somebody tells me that, I don't have much for them. It it just shows me the level of immaturity that they have. The whole my way or the highway. It's crazy. Your way is not always the best way. It doesn't matter how how great you are, how experienced you are. There are going to be times when, especially the older you get, the longer you've been in a service, and even especially compounding that, if you have not continued to grow and learn along the way, you are going to quickly come up against ways that are better than your way. I promise you. And the next one is right there with it. If it's not my way or the highway, the other one is your way is never the only way. You know, yeah, your way may be the best way sometimes, but I guarantee you that it is never the only way. So have the humility, have the open mind to just be open to these things. Look around and see if the crews are doing something maybe a different way than you want them to be, or a different way than you have in the past, but they're doing it great. They're exceptional as they're doing it a different way. What's the harm in that? And that's I'll share a story that I think it speaks a lot to the kind of leader he is. But this story is from Sean Egan with Buffalo Fire, I believe. And he was talking about going to a new crew as a station officer. He part of a truck company, has a lot of ventilation experience under his belt. He had a certain way of doing these tasks, and he joined this new crew and started training with them and saw that they do things a lot different. And it as he's telling this story, it's very obvious that he's kind of working through this in his mind as this situation is playing out. And there's a couple ways that he could handle this. He could put his foot down and he could say, "This is how I do it. I know I know this is the right way to do it, so this is how we will do it." Or he could say, "Hey guys, you guys are doing awesome. That I love seeing a new way of doing it, and you do it really well. I'm going to show you the way I do it, and just so you kind of know that there are the other ways of doing it. And at the end we'll talk about it. And if you choose to do it your way because of how well you perform at it, that's fine. And that's what he chose to do. He chose to be a leader that was humble enough and open-minded enough to let them continue using their own techniques to do a task because they were very proficient in the way they did it. And so I just think that speaks a lot, because there are a lot of leaders that would say, you know, I get you guys are, you think you know what you're doing, but this is the way I've learned it, and this is the way we're going to do it because this is the way I'm comfortable with it. And it's just not leadership. I don't. I have a hard time even giving the title of leader to somebody that is not doing the job. It's just hard for me. And the last thing that I'll say about this first lesson is, when all else has failed for me, and I know not everybody listening is a parent, has been a parent, but a few things that I've learned as a parent really have helped me in that role. And that, first off, is never rush to conclusions, and make sure you hear all sides of the story. Whatever is going on, especially if we're dealing with conflict or things within the personnel that you have, make sure you hear all sides of the story. Don't fall into the trap of hearing one side and just jumping on a conclusion. Or maybe you feel a little closer to one individual than the other, and so you're kind of going to that story first, and you're just gonna handle things right after that. We've got to hear all sides of the story. We got to have all the facts, or at least as many of the facts as we can obtain before making any kind of decisions or anything like that. And the last one is, just make sure the punishment matches the offense, the crime. Whatever, crime is a stupid word to use here, but make sure the punishment matches the offense. Just be fair. Be fair, be honest, be respectful, be kind, be empathetic. That's leadership. That's how we bridge the gap of what we don't know, how we don't really know how to handle these things, and bridge it to where we're at least learning and growing and making headway. Because at the end of the day, I might not know how to do anything as far as formal leadership goes, as far as leading and challenging grown men and women. But if I am able to deal with them respectfully, if I am able to show them that I truly care for them, if I am able to show them that I have your back, do the right thing, and I will always have your back. If you do mess up, then take responsibility, and we will handle what happens after that. Meaning, I still have your back. If I can treat people like I want to be treated, if I can show them that this is how a person of integrity acts and handles himself, then everything else is going to be okay. Everything else will come out in the wash. It will be all right. We will make mistakes. We'll learn our lessons. But by using those mistakes as a way to, be vulnerable with our people and show them that, yeah, I'm not perfect, but you know what? The mistake I made, these are the intentions behind it. I did mess up. I shouldn't have done that. So yeah, my thinking was off. But what I did do was I apologized. I took responsibility for it. I learned from it. And now we're going to move on, and we're going to make the changes necessary to hopefully not do that again. If we're doing all these things, that's That's the important stuff. That's what we need to be doing to keep that needle moving. And we're going to grow, and our people are going to grow, and everything else will just take care of themselves. Take care of your people, and they will take care of you. It's easy. We make it a lot harder than it should be, but that's all there is to it. So that's all I got today. Just I hope that within these lessons that I'm going to share with you, I hope there's some things that you could pull out of it. I hope there's some things that I can maybe even keep you from making the same mistakes in. So I really that's the intention behind it. So this is episode number 199. I say that because I'm really excited. I've already recorded number 200, and it's going to be something special to me for sure. I've got two of my really, really good friends on, and we're going to discuss some things that are vital to our everyday life and our well-being and our mental health and our relationships and everything else. We're going to dig into accountability, sorry, authenticity and vulnerability. We're going to dig into those, and it's a great conversation. I enjoyed it, and I hope that you will tune in again and catch that 200th episode. So until then, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please like and share and subscribe and all the fun stuff if you are getting something from the podcast. Thank you. And until next time, just remember, no matter what or where you came from, great things can come from you. Thank you.